Today, we are diving into something absolutely wild. We're breaking down a ridiculously chaotic 100-day Minecraft challenge. Imagine taking the standard survival mechanics you know and love, and just completely throwing them out the window. Well, that's exactly what creator Anshubisht and his squad did. But hey, before we jump into the absolute madness, let me ask you a quick question. Think about your standard game mechanics for a second. What can a simple, everyday sheep actually give you in Minecraft? If you've played the game for even 5 minutes, you already know the answer to this, right? Normally, yeah, it's just wool and maybe some mutton to keep your hunger bar full. But in this specific hardcore modded world, those rules are completely shattered. Picture this. You shear a totally normal-looking sheep, and out pops a literal shower of pure netherite blocks and enchanted golden apples. It's an insane premise. It creates this massive contrast right from day one. I mean, how exactly does a basic farm animal turn into a game-breaking loot box? Section 1. The OP sheep mechanic. Alright, let's look at how these mechanics actually work. Here's the basic gameplay loop the squad had to figure out on day 1. Step 1, you gotta craft a super dye. You pull this off by combining regular flowers you'd find in a plains biome with mined ores, like coal or iron. Step 2, take that super dye and slap it onto a regular sheep, which turns it this crazy flashing color. And step 3, just use your shears and boom, you get overpowered or OP items. This right here perfectly illustrates just how ridiculously broken this mechanic is right out of the gate. On a normal playthrough, you're getting, 1 to 3 pieces of wool? But in this modded world, a single shear can yield 8 enchanted golden apples at once. It drops totems of undying, which literally let you cheat death, and pure netherite blocks, arguably the rarest material in the base game. The shock was so real. Anshu's genuine reaction when they sheared their very first OP sheep perfectly captures the entertaining chaos of finding this out. He literally yelled, "What? There is no way? Enchanted golden apple? And that too, 8." They instantly knew they were playing a completely different game. And, as anyone who played survival games knows, players will absolutely always find a way to push an advantage even farther. Section 2. Escalating the shears. So the squad quickly realized that the sheep weren't the only things in this mod getting an upgrade. They stumbled onto a custom crafting recipe for Shears 2.0. Basically, by placing a diamond in the center of a crafting table and surrounding it with 8 iron nuggets, they made a tool that forces a sheep to drop not just 1, but 5 OP items simultaneously. They were literally starting to bend the game's entire economy to their will. Just look at how fast this power scales up. You start off with your standard Shears 1.0, which gives you 1 item. But by the time they craft Shears 4.0, oh man, they are pulling a massive 20 OP items per single click. It's just exponential game-breaking growth. And the best part? The squad was fully self-aware of what they were doing. As one of them pointed out mid-run, it's time to make a super OP shear. Why should sheep have all the fun? They were actively pushing the mod's limits just to see exactly how far they could break the system. But, there's always a catch, right? There is always a catch. Section 3, the insane crafting math. So what started as this really fun, overpowered loot fest quickly turned into an absolute mathematical nightmare. Just take a second and look at this number, 512. That is the insane volume of base Shears 2.0 the players needed to craft just to reach the final tier of the tool. The mod creator designed this progression to be totally brutal through compounding math. To get just 1 Shears 3.0, you need 8 Shears 2.0. To get a Shears 4.0, you need 8 Shears 3.0. And to reach the ultimate Shears 5.0, well, you have to multiply that all the way down the chain. The players were completely overwhelmed trying to calculate all this on the fly. This led to some pretty brutal realities for the squad. Even though they had chests practically overflowing with OP drops, they were still forced to go back to endless, tedious mining. I mean, they needed over 512 diamonds and 4,096 iron nuggets just for the base crafting ingredients. Their inventories were a complete disaster, and the math became this running joke because they literally couldn't figure out how much raw material they actually needed. Of course, when you give a chaotic multiplayer group unlimited power and tedious grinds, things are going to get super messy. Section 4, Squad Chaos and Trolling. Now, let's pivot for a second to the hilarious, totally unfiltered dynamics of this squad. One of the absolute peak moments of chaos went down when Ronnie, one of the teammates, accidentally got locked inside an unbreakable bedrock trap that started filling up with water. Now, because he had an infinite supply of enchanted golden apples, his team's completely unhelpful advice was literally just to keep eating so he wouldn't drown. Honestly, this basically defined the entire middle portion of their playthrough. It was this dysfunctional but incredibly entertaining mix of hoarding and actively stealing apples from each other, letting creepers accidentally explode right in the middle of their base, and surviving situations that would instantly end a normal hardcore run purely because they were holding infinite totems of undying in their offhands. But, amidst all the trolling, there was actual teamwork. Right as Ronnie was running out of apples in that water trap, a teammate managed to throw this clutch, pixel-perfect ender pearl into a tiny gap to teleport him out. It beautifully highlighted the duality of their friendship on the server. I'll trap you, and I'll save you too. Remember that. But eventually, despite all the trolling and the endless sheep sharing, they actually had a game to beat. Section 5, the ultimate boss fight. All right, let's look at the climax, the inevitable showdown with the Ender Dragon. Before jumping into the end portal, the squad used their massive wealth to craft an absolutely ridiculous, game-breaking loadout. We are talking full netherite armor with protection level 10, an enchantment level that doesn't even exist in the vanilla game. They had sharpness 10 swords, custom bows with power 10 and flame, and on top of that, they were firing instant damage arrows. Let's see exactly how this final boss fight played out. 0 seconds, they enter the end portal. 2 seconds in, they realize the end crystals, the ones that usually heal the dragon, are somehow already glitched and broken. 5 seconds, they unleash a volley from those power 10 bows. By 10 seconds, the dragon is completely obliterated. The hardest boss in the game, literally gone in the blink of an eye. It happened so fast, the squad almost didn't even process it. Anshu's quote really sums it up perfectly. "I think this is going to be our record-breaking fight. It's already over." Their relentless escalation of power had turned the ultimate challenge of Minecraft into an absolute joke. Which kind of leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on today. Think about this. When a group of players can warp an economy so drastically and bend the game's mechanics so severely that the terrifying Ender Dragon falls in 10 seconds flat, who is the real monster of the server? It's a hilarious look at what happens when players are given way too much power. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown and keep asking those fun questions.